I think whenever you do a classic piece of work, the thing that people are most interested in is like how relevant is it to them. And I think the pieces of work that last the longest is like when you can go see a piece of work and you think like, oh my God, people 400 years ago were struggling with the same issues I was. And so I think you have to think about this as not like a really kind of sacred museum piece in terms of that you're going to put it up and then we can all kind of nod that that's how it was at that point in Russia, but to figure out like what are the common things that we all struggle with, what are the human things that we all still as humans have yet to conquer, and then where in ourselves do we see ourselves in each of these characters.
Would you mind if I ask you a few questions?
It's about a student who's left school, who has some hardships. He's looked on to be the provider for his mother and his sister, and he's got all these theories running around in his head, and he's sort of stopped going to school and stopped working and just sits in his room dwelling on these ideas of the ordinary man and the extraordinary man, and his ego starts to lead him to believe that he's an extraordinary man who can do whatever he wants.
Extraordinary men have the right to commit any crime and transgress the law in any way simply because they are extraordinary.
The book is large, you may know this, and I think one of the things that in terms of putting an adaptation together was how do you really tell a great part of the story? How do you not like Harry Potter the story, so we tried to take the entire thing and shove it into 90 minutes, but how do you select what you think is the juiciest part of it and put it together? So what this adaptation does really well is essentially take the kind of the first third of the book, the murder and the getting to confession, and try to tell that part of the story well. And I think what it does really smartly is kind of focus on the characters that most directly are affected by the murder and then kind of collateral damage that happens with that.
It's universal. I mean, I think why it stood the test of time as one of the great classic novels. It addresses every person's wrestling with the ideas of good and evil, and if I can imagine it, can I make it true? And if I make it true, can I live with what I've done?
I could never stop thinking about it.
I think it's just going to be a lot of fun to see something so fast and furious, like for an audience member, to be so directly involved in, and especially in this theater where you're so close to the action, and it is so focused and stylized, but when it gets messy, it's going to get messy, and it's going to be thrilling, I think, for everyone involved in watching it. And I think it's so rare that you see a piece of theater that really asks you to jump on the train that's barreling towards a very specific place, and everybody kind of knows where it's going to barrel, but not how.
Thank you.